So Yulia, which are the solutions Firefox promotes in order to pass over this asynchronicity thing?
Okay, so Firefox is okay, we're an open source web browser and we're an open source project. So I'm working on the debugger panel. A lot of what Firefox is doing right now is we're using the web stack to create our front-end components. So we write our front-end components completely in HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. What that means is that we're also working with the larger open source community that does web development. And of course, we are using solutions coming from that environment. So that means that we're currently using React on the front end. We're using, well, that's the main, we're using React, we're using Babel, we're using a number of libraries, Webpack, from the open source community. And we have built the project that I work on, the debugger, essentially as a front end, as a website. It runs like a website. It has a server, it has a front end, and on the front end we have to do a lot of talking to services. For example, we talk a lot to workers, we have a parser that's running, we have source maps worker that's running, and a number of other types of workers. We also have the server that's running. And when you have so many different asynchronous services within a web application of any type, including ours, you run into the problem of weird things happening all over your website. Like you click something and something else happens. And this isn't something that you want from your web application. You want it to be predictable what happens in it. So it's not necessarily that we're promoting it, but we're definitely using some solutions that are coming from the open source community. One of them is Redux Thunks, and the other one is Redux Sagas. And essentially, Thunks are using a simple wrapper that allows you to use to send a simple request and deal with the response from that request in a very naive fashion. Yeah. And my talk will be comparing this more naive implementation to a much more complex one called Sagas, which allows scheduling of a number of tasks and dealing with the return of each task in a comprehensive way that allows us to take care of errors, take care of canceling those calls, and etc. So, and that's also coming from the research community. There's a lot of people who are coming to similar solutions, so it's not necessarily just that library, but this is more like, here's an idea, it's interesting, see what you can do with it.
Okay, and your proposal, is to combine both of them, I guess.
Not necessarily. Like I would say, what I'll be talking about is where both of these libraries are most useful, because you can really over-engineer a project too soon. And I'll be talking about when it's a good idea to use the more naive, simple approach, when it's a good idea to start thinking about a complex scheduling library to make sure that everything is comprehensible and predictable when you're writing your application.
Okay, thank you for your time, Julia, and enjoy the conference.
Thank you.